Kshama Sawant is on the line with us. She is the Seattle City Council member, District 3, independent socialist with Socialist Alternative. Her website, seattle.gov/council/Sawant. And Kshama, welcome back to the program.
Thank you for having me back, Tom.
My apologies for just going into, brain dead auto mode. So
no worries, you raised an important question.
Yeah. So there was a socialist response to the State of the Union. Tell us about it.
So as I'm sure everybody heard, Obama's message was positive, there's hope for the future, and there was a sense of, we're all doing great and so on. And I think that, as I said in our socialist response, I share that confidence, but for entirely different reasons than him. He's basing his confidence on the relative health of Wall Street compared to the, alarming signals from China, the Chinese economy, and so on. He's basing his feeling of hope on the fact that there are so many billionaires doing well. All the banksters who were responsible for the crisis are doing better than ever before. And my confidence is based on the fact that the last few years have shown what kind of human potential exists among working people, among the youth, among people of color, to really not just build a resistance, but really build a revolt against the status quo of corporate domination, the deep income inequality. So there are so many signals of hope. The Black Lives Matter movement being one of the paramount ones, just young people rising up and saying, this is just not acceptable, a country full of mass incarceration, systematic racism, and police brutality. But also there are other signs, young immigrant population, the dreamers who are, boldly saying, this is our country and you don't get to drive us out. That's really a powerful counterpoint to the message of hate and bigotry and anti-immigrant rhetoric coming from Trump. But I think above all, as we know, this year is going to be the presidential election is going to dominate every political discussion. And I think, you were talking about Chelsea Clinton and Hillary Clinton beginning to attack Bernie Sanders. I think that's a sign of them acknowledging the fact that Sanders, as being on the ascendancy, the polls among caucus goers in Iowa and New Hampshire are really revealing how much of a discontent, but not just discontent, deep anger there is among working people for an alternative. And the fact that Trump has a following is not testament to him or, any idea of greatness on him. It's just that people everywhere are struggling to find an alternative to corporate domination, which they absolutely hate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So, and in fact, America's first really big time relationship with socialism came in the 1930s. Franklin Roosevelt never called it that. All of his opponents did aggressively. And of course, this was during the time when there was this thing called the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. And so socialism had a slightly different meaning at that point in time. But socialist programs like Medicare, Medicare came later, it came in the 60s, Social Security, unemployment insurance, minimum wage, workplace protections. This is straightforward stuff. America likes socialism. They just don't know the word. Or would you disagree with that?
No, I think you pretty much nailed it. As you said, America likes socialism. I would say yes, absolutely. When you say America, you mean the vast majority of the, tens of millions of people who are not the ones who make the lion's share of the wealth through this system of capitalism. So, Of course, they're absolutely open to the ideas that socialism stands for. It's just there's been decades of vilifying and demonizing of the idea of socialism. But, that's what's amazing about this year and about Bernie's campaign. I'm not a Democrat, obviously, so, I don't think the Democratic Party establishment is a vehicle for change. But what's fundamentally different now is that Bernie has declared himself, he openly calls himself a democratic socialist, and he's running an anti-corporate, pro-working people's campaign. He said when he launched his campaign that this is a political revolution against the billionaire class. And look at the electrifying response he's got from millions of people everywhere. That's what real America is about. The corporate media talks about Trump, yes, but as I said, to the extent that he is getting a following, that is because people are frustrated and they don't have an outlet. And Bernie's following, reflects absolutely the same kind of search for answers. And what's the thing that we notice in this whole phenomenon? There is no hostility to the idea of socialism or the word socialism. That doesn't mean everybody's on the same page of what exactly it means, but it's what you were pointing towards, Tom. People, especially young people, are fed up of having a system and economy where only the very, very, very top elite benefit, and the rest of us are left with student debt, now over $1 trillion, lack of health care, no prospect of retirement. In anybody's conception, there is no prospect of retirement. And I would point out, yesterday, Obama made somewhat of a joke about how, U.S. Congress has the best retirement and benefits, whatever. But that's true, but it's not a joke for us that we don't have any of that, and people are looking for that. And there is not only the absence of hostility towards the idea of socialism or towards socialists, but it's a curiosity and it's a welcoming of the possibility of alternatives to this system of crisis, and not to mention something that we were talking about earlier, which is the accelerated melting of the Greenland ice sheets, which is one of the indications of the doom we will face unless we have a really, really rapid move away from fossil fuels towards renewable energy globally. And look at the Paris conference. There's no solution. Obama hasn't stood apart in any way, and we shouldn't expect any corporate candidate, whether Republican or Democrat, to stand apart in any way and show any leadership on this. So, this really points towards the need to build movements, and I would also urge everybody to check out socialistalternative.org for more on this.
Okay, socialistalternative.org is the website for your party. And Kshama Sawant, we have a minute left. Are there other people running under the banner of socialist of your party for political office?
Well, we just finished our massive campaign for city council for re-election, and you saw how Seattle is dominated by the Democratic Party establishment, and they pulled out all the stuff against us. Even resorting to setting up a joint sort of PAC, like an independent expenditure committee with Republicans, and in order to try and defeat us. But we were able to prevail, and we raised nearly $500,000 on a working class basis. We didn't take a dime from corporations. So
wow.
While Socialist Alternative right now is not running candidates, this shows our success in re-election, and Bernie's ascendancy shows how much potential there is, not only for socialists, but overall for independent working class candidates. When I say independent, I mean
I think you're absolutely right.
Republican Party establishment and independent of corporate domination.
Yeah, well said. Kshama Sawant, Seattle City Council member from District 3, and independent socialist with socialistalternative.org. Kshama, Councilwoman Sawant, or whatever your title. Thank you so much for being with us today.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.